Welcome back. President Trump's fired National Security Advisor Michael Flynn now says he has a story to tell, but will only testify if he receives immunity. This comes as the top Democrat on the House Intelligence Committee, Adam Schiff, right now is reviewing documents at the White House. Joining me, Democratic Congressman Eric Swalwell. He also serves on the House Intelligence Committee. Congressman, thanks so much for being with us. It's safe to say, given that Congressman Schiff is in the White House grounds, I think he's in the OEB right now reviewing these documents, we don't know what he's seeing, so I won't ask you specifically about what's in them, but I will ask you if you think it's a positive development that he's being invited to come look.
It's certainly something that we all should have been able to see a few weeks ago, and it never should have been done at the White House when the chairman went over there the day after Director Comey testified. But we want to get this investigation back on track. American people are counting on us to find out whether there were any personal, political, or financial ties between Donald Trump and his team that converged with Russia's interference.
So just a few minutes ago at the White House press conference, Press Secretary Sean Spicer said that no one's focusing on the leaking of classified information, including the unmasking potentially of individuals. Does that concern you at all?
These are merely smoke bombs rolled in to obstruct an investigation into the ties between Russia and the president's campaign. That is separate, and we should always look at anyone who breaks the law. But to suggest that's more important than an attack on our democracy is quite frankly ridiculous. And John, so I'm not going to be distracted by that, and I hope the American people aren't either.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more that it's a completely separate issue from whether Russia meddled in the U.S. election and whether Trump associates coordinated with the Russians during the election. But the separate matter of, was there incidental collection? Were identities unmasked inappropriately and leaked inappropriately? That in and of itself, is that something that is worth investigating and worth exposing?
I think it should be done separate from our investigation. What we want to know is why were people on Donald Trump's team going over to Russia while the interference campaign was going on, like Carter Page? Why did Roger Stone know before the rest of the world did that Russia would hack John Podesta's emails and then use Guccifer 2.0 to disseminate them? So these are the questions that we want to get to the bottom of. And John, we want to make sure this never happens again. I think that's something Republicans and Democrats should unite around.
So General Michael Flynn asking the congressional committees for immunity. You're against granting immunity. Why?
Generally, immunity is not something you give to innocent people, and it's not something that an innocent person would ask for. I've prosecuted homicide cases before using immunity agreements. Usually you use that because you need testimony you can't get otherwise, but you still want the witness to be truthful. So far, all we know about General Flynn is he hasn't been very truthful about what he had to do with Russia, and so I'm skeptical at this point. And I also want to know what the Department of Justice thinks of this.
The Department of Justice, as of now, the FBI says it has no reason to grant immunity, no intention of doing so. We just got that information a short time ago. Let me tell you what Richard Painter and Norm Eisen, two ethics lawyers who worked in Republican and Democratic administrations, says, because it's interesting. They say this case is different from ordinary criminal investigations. Finding the truth is even more important than punishing the guilty because it's critical to our national security and the future of our democracy. They say it might be worth it to grant immunity to get to the truth.
And John, again, when I would deal with prosecutions of murder cases, you want to know what do they have to give first. And you don't want to have any conditions on that. You need to test the individual to see if they can be truthful and forthcoming. And so far, to just say I want immunity and not to share with our staff what he seeks to tell, I'm not interested in that.
So I've talked to you a few times over the course of this investigation. The question I always ask you is, have you seen any evidence at this point of collusion between Trump associates and the Russians? Have you?
Yes. Yes. Unclassified and there's classified. And I think the unclassified is almost as powerful, John. I mean, again, Roger Stone being able to tell the world that John Podesta's emails were about to be hacked before anyone else knew it, that is powerful circumstantial evidence. And DNA evidence, by the way, John, is also circumstantial evidence used in courtrooms across America. It can be just as strong as direct evidence.
All right, you're not saying DNA evidence exists here, but I understand your point. Eric Swalwell of California, great to have you with us. We're about to lose your window, so I have to say goodbye. Goodbye, Congressman.
My pleasure, John.
All right. Should Michael Flynn be granted immunity? To find out as quickly as possible what's going on with Russia, we'll discuss more ahead.